chief political analyst Brit Hume. Brit, good evening. Do you see something different today with the Democrats and the unions kind of weighing in?
I do, Brett. I think we're getting near to the end of this, not least because of the American Federation of Government Employees, as it was mentioned by Chad in his report, but also because the situation with air traffic control could become serious soon. And when flights start getting delayed and canceled and so on, the pressure to end this is going to be pretty great. And it seems to me the Republicans have a pretty good case here. I mean, as far back as I can remember, and I've covered a lot of these, the gold standard for ending a shutdown has been a clean a continuing resolution, that is to say, with no new policy initiatives or policy changes in it, just continue funding at current levels. That is what the Republicans have passed in the House. That is what they sent to the Senate, and that is what Senate Democrats have blocked using the filibuster. So I think it's an untenable position politically over time, and I think we'll see that come to pass before too long now.
Well, let me ask you about another story that's sucking up a lot of oxygen in Washington and elsewhere, and that is the construction of the ballroom at the White House. You look at the video of that, and it causes all kinds of angst for all kinds of people. The White House, the Washington Post, had an opinion op-ed this weekend saying many see the rubble as a metaphor for President Donald Trump's reckless disregard of norms and the rule of law, a reflection of his willingness to bulldoze history and a temple to his second gilded age paid for by corporate donors. Others see what they love about Trump, a lifelong builder boldly pursuing a grand vision, a change agent unafraid to decisively take on the status quo, and a developer slashing through red tape that would stymie any normal politician. Where are you on this whole thing?
Well, it's pretty hard to argue, Brett, that the White House doesn't need a ballroom. I mean, I'm sure that you had this experience, too. I was occasionally, when I was a White House correspondent, occasionally invited to state dinners. And I can remember one state dinner, at least, where people were dancing in the lobby. That's because they don't have a ballroom. They have some large rooms, the East Room and the state dining room, but they're small. Particularly by contemporary standards. Yeah. And people may not like the design of this big ballroom the president is proposing. I can understand that. But from the look of it, to me, I think most people will end up liking it, and I think that the future presidents are going to end up liking it a lot because they can now hold events of a sufficient size to accommodate all the guests they might like to have, whereas now they have to hold it in tents outside with guests invited to use porta potties to go to the bathroom. That's clearly not something the executive branch of the United States should have.
I've been in one of those tents for one of those events. Brett, last thing, you know, the president's overseas. There's a lot of stuff happening. It's kind of still like drinking from a fire hose. You know, it's still like drinking from a fire hose. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now, Brett. It's like nothing I've ever seen going back many presidencies, and you know. It's a whirlwind presidency. He's taking on more major issues than any president I can ever remember. I mean, sometimes, you know, issues are thrust on presidents. I mean, wars that break out and so on during his presidency. He's come into office and taken on 4 major foreign policy initiatives, if you count now Latin America and what he's trying to do down there. You've got his efforts to try to deal with China. You've got his efforts to broker peace in the Middle East, which have come to some fruit now. And, of course, you have the continuing effort to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. That's just on foreign policy. And the list on domestic issues goes on and on. You start with the border, which is, you know, sort of foreign policy and domestic all rolled into one. You think of all the things that are in that big, beautiful bill, as he called it. The list goes on and on. I've really never seen anything quite like it.
Yeah. Britt, as always, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.